The Game of Thrones universe is more than swords, kings, and betrayals. Hidden beneath the surface is a tapestry of magic, cosmic forces, and ancient secrets that have shaped the fate of every house. In this video, we will decode the deepest mysteries of Westeros and beyond, from the origin of the others to the true power behind the Iron Throne. By minute 30, you'll understand how a seemingly forgotten prophecy connects to the endgame, and why one small event in the Far East may have tipped the scales. If you consider yourself a fan, or simply curious how this fantasy world holds itself together, stay with me, because by the end, everything will click. Welcome to Westeros Secrets. This is your full universe guide to Game of Thrones. And if you stick around, I'll reveal the single hidden clue George R.R. Martin snuck into the first book that foretold the true villain. But first, how did all of this begin? Genesis of Westeros and Essos. The Dawn Age. To understand the Game of Thrones universe, you must begin before there were kingdoms, at a time when myth and history blur. According to the world of ice and fire, the Dawn Age was the era when the children of the forest first awakened, when giants roamed the lands, and when the first men crossed from Essos into Westeros via a land bridge. The children lived in harmony with nature and wielded ancient magics. The first men brought war, iron, and a different way of life. Their struggles eventually led to a pact. The children would retreat into the deep woods, and the first men would govern the coasts and plains. But even earlier, legends speak of the Age of Heroes, the Long Night, and the mysterious Night's Watch foundations. Some myths hint that before the first men, there were others, beings whose names are lost, but whose mark remained in runes and ruins. Yet all that is still prologue to the coming of ice. Because when the darkness came, it did so not just from north of the wall, but from an ancient source. We'll see that in the next module. The Others, the Long Night in the Great War. The Others, often called White Walkers in the show, are not mere undead warriors. They are an ancient force that rose during the first Long Night, perhaps aided by celestial magic. Their motivations seem to be more than conquest. They embody ice, an opposing cosmic force to fire. Their emergence turned the world dark, forcing alliances between the first men and children of the forest. During this great war, the wall was built and the Night's Watch established to man it. The Night King, if one accepts that origin, was transformed by children magic, wielding runic power over life and death. But he, too, may have been a tool. Clues in the book suggest a hidden will behind the others, something older, more primeval. Meanwhile, in the south, powers rose and fell, largely ignorant of the creeping threat. The long night ended, scars remained, but the memory faded until the ice stirred again. Magic lay dormant, but in distant lands, a civilization would awaken it again, and dragons would be reborn. That's our next stop. The Valyrians, dragons, and the magic return. Across the narrow sea in the Valyrian freehold, dragon lords mastered fire and flame. Their power grew through conquest, sorcery, and dragon breeding. At its height, Valyria spanned continents, but power often breeds hubris. The doom of Valyria struck, a cataclysm that shattered the empire. Dragons died, magic dimmed, and the Targaryens escaped to Dragonstone. For centuries, dragons were legends, until in the last generation, Daenerys Targaryen hatched 3 dragon eggs in a funeral pyre. The return of dragons also reignited magic. Blood magic, prophecy, war. That resurgence of power, fire, is what would eventually challenge ice again. Yet dragons alone were not enough to dictate the future. Because in Westeros, politics and bloodlines mattered as much as dragons. Let's explore the great houses and their hidden connections, the great houses and power structures. At its core, Game of Thrones is a saga of dynasties. Each great house is more than a banner. They are carriers of ancient blood, alliances, rivalries, and secrets. Stark. Rooted in the north, associated with ice, the old gods, direwolves, greenseers. Lannister. Cunning, wealth, often aligned with darker politics and ambition. Targaryen. Dragon lords, flame, claimants to the Iron Throne. Baratheon. Greyjoy. Martell, Tyrell, each with their regional power, culture, and hidden agendas. But beneath the official lines, there are bastards, cadet branches, secret marriages, and claims. Some minor houses harbor claims nobody knows. All these threads interweave, connecting back to prophecy, magic, and the struggle of ice and fire. Yet dynasties alone cannot explain the endurance of prophecy and supernatural power. Enter magic, visions, and the unseen prophecies, magic and the unseen powers. Magic in Westeros is rare, but when it appears, it changes everything. The Red Priests, Warlocks of Korth, Green Seers, Wargs, all channels of unseen power. Prophecies like Azor Ahai / Prince that was promised, the Great Other, the role of fire and ice. They guide characters, but in ambiguous, often misleading ways. Melisandre, Thoros, the faith of R'hllor, they believe in a savior of fire to fight the ice. But prophecy is rarely literal. Words may twist, meanings shift. Green seers like Bran see across time, dreams, and nature. They tap into deep forces. There's also the question, is there a divine balance, something beyond good and evil, controlling the flow of magic? And hidden in old texts lies a prophecy so cryptic, almost no one remembers it. But it may be the one that binds ice, fire, and fate together. Which leads us to the final looming question. How does it all converge in the endgame? What is the ultimate balance? The endgame and cosmic balance. In the clash of ice and fire, the final struggle is not merely political, but cosmic. The others represent cold, void, death. Dragons, magic, fire represent life, change, rebirth. But victory for one side alone may destabilize existence. The true ending might lie not in the triumph of one force, but a rebalancing. Many fan theories argue for a poison chalice ending, where the hero must die or the throne remains empty. Others believe Bran becomes a guardian rather than king. And here's the twist, the hidden prophecy. I promised you earlier, from Module 5, suggests that the true villain is neither ice nor fire, but the absence in entropy, a force that erodes magic over time, the slow decay behind the scenes. That prophecy was hinted in a throwaway line in A Storm of Swords, lines about magic dying even when dragons live. That suggests that no matter who wins, magic itself may fade. Thus, the real victory may lie in preserving balance, not domination. And that, in many ways, is the secret underpinning the entire saga. Now let's stitch everything together. Ice and fire are not just metaphors. They are cosmic forces competing for dominance. The others originate from an older darkness. Dragons rekindle fire. Magic, prophecy, bloodlines, and politics are chess pieces on that battlefield. The true ending likely lies not in crushing one side, but in reconciling them or preserving magic itself as a force. The small prophecy I teased earlier points toward entropy, or magic decay, a subtle antagonist never fully confronted. In short, the Game of Thrones universe is a multi-layered war, political, spiritual, metaphysical. The Iron Throne is symbolic. The real game is the preservation of balance. If you rewatch the series or reread the books with this lens, many scenes take on new light. The Wall is a seal against entropy. Bran is more than a green seer. Daenerys, Jon, and others are potential catalysts, but may also be consumed by a larger current. That is the secret lore, the hidden architecture of the world. Westeros is a world not just of power, but of meaning. So tell me in the comments, which theory resonates more, magic fading or cosmic balance? Which house's secret branch do you believe holds the key? And if you want a deep dive video on one house's hidden lore, Stark, Targaryen, or others, comment below and I'll make it next. If you like this journey through ice and fire, give this video a thumbs up, share it with your fellow fans, and subscribe for more lore deep dives from here on.